Okay, I should have a complete recording slot. Alright, so close range, bouncing fan. From long range, the options are slightly different, and I'll get into that later, but for close range, regular or EX bouncing fan. This is specifically for non-flame stock frame data, etc. So I have a bunch of, all these are recording slots for bouncing fan at this instance, and the various options that I think are go-to options for my to do. So you have make them block this, and then now you can jump immediately, because if Ryu stand blocks this, he'll still be able to get out of DP at this time. Like so. So if you jump earlier, then that won't be a problem, but there's other counterplay options depending on how long you delay your jump for. And depending on the character, especially if they have a DP, they can just sit here crouch blocking, and if they see the jump, they can anti-air it like this, which is why I prefer to do it slightly later. The latest possible that you can, if you delay the jump until as late as possible, then you can at least avoid them mashing this out. The other problem with this is that, or at least save it until the very last moment for them to be able to react and get the anti-air clean. Some characters won't even be able to do this. Now, they can also take a micro walk forwards, because this is generally negative on block, and there's nothing that Mai can do to like frame trap you and stop you from walking forwards a little bit. So you have some options in that regards, but yes. So jump sooner or later. If you're too late, you risk them stand blocking it and having a gap and still being able to DP. So there's not a perfect way to do this, but if you do it a little bit later, then it would be quite difficult for them to still get the reaction. Especially, they would probably have to be pumping the DP forwards, which means that they wouldn't be blocking at that point if they're going to react to the jump at the last possible second, where it'll still be a tight block string, which means that they would be liable to get hit by any number of other actions and then get comboed into fan. So I would consider this a pretty go-to option for Mai to do. The main weak point of this is backdash. Now, not every character, since every character's backdash is different, some characters can backdash once and then clear the proximity block for the fan. Clear the fan itself, and or the proximity block. Characters with DPs can generally backdash and then DP anti-air. Like this. Next go-to option for EX fan, or any bouncing fan, is dash or whatever in, and then throw or jab or something. Throw, crouch jab, crouch light kick, etc. Now this is another thing that backdash I would say is the default defensive option against bouncing fan when you're not in the corner, or one of the default defensive options. You'll get away from most of her traps or anything like that, and you'll be able to anti-air the jump. The only weak point of this is that the main thing that Mai would have to do to punish this is raw drive rush, or depending on how bad the backdash is. For example, a character like Honda cannot backdash and then anti-air, so he cannot rely on backdash conveniently. Because his backdash goes nowhere, and he's too wide, and he doesn't get, if he backdashes, he loses back charge for his anti-air headbutt or EX headbutt or whatever, so Honda gets nothing from backdashing this. The next option that bouncing fan may do is, I just have this recorded as like to be able to see what happens with super interactions. For example, a lot of characters with projectile supers can throw them and then they get knocked out of their supers, but they're still Mai is still forced to block the super. And then you're plus afterwards. So like Luke, Akuma, Ryu can all do this. But that's not one of the main options that Mai would necessarily go for. So there's wait, and then there's delay dash, for example. Now, the only problem with this for Mai is that, like, if you delay it as late as possible so that Ryu can't just do, like, an attack right before the fan connects with him, is that if you wait until the last moment to dash forwards, you're only like +3, so it's barely plus enough, whereas if he stand blocks it, and then you dash, he will be plus. So the frame data drastically changes between whether or not he stand blocks it or he stays crouching until it reaches his crouching frame. So, using the dash specifically is its own sort of risk, but it is a way that you can wait to see what he does and then still go in and get a throw. The other option is, so this is a way that you could counter backdashing as well, is dash up and then just walk at them. So you may be able to dash up and then stick out a normal to punish the backdash, depending on how fast the backdash is, and how plus the bouncing fan was, because it has different frame data at slightly different distances. But you can at least move forwards, and then even if the character's backdash escapes the range of the bouncing fan, the thing is they still can't attack Mai while she's walking forwards, because the bouncing fan will cover her. Now, it depends on what normal they do and what its heartbox interaction is, but like a lot of the times, if they're just going to like see her walking forwards and stick out a button, they'll just get hit by bouncing fan. So it depends, but it's nuanced, but I would say this is an advantage to my situation. The next thing that Mai can do with this is wait, deep wait until the bouncing fan connects, and then drive rush in, and you can make a true block string with drive rush light kick and then do mix. Or you can keep extending the drive rush and just throw, or do like back heavy kick or whatever from that drive rush. Next option is auto whiff punish. So I'll have to kind of explain some of the counterplay options for why this makes sense. But for example, if the opponent does nothing, a handful of things that are available to you as the player is you can backdash, you can jump and get hit by the fan. So the main downside of this is that you're still going to, even if she does nothing and she doesn't combo off of this, which it's awkward for her to pick this up into a combo, because, hello? Hello? Okay, alright, my controller wasn't connected to the game anymore. So this is like a sort of minimal safety measure. It may be awkward, especially if she's at low drive gauge, to, like, you know, get Oki from this situation if she doesn't pick it up into a combo. She kind of needs drive rush and fast reactions to pick this up into a combo. So it can be a way to minimize the damage that you take and maybe try to mess with the situation. It's not a bad thing to do, and it kind of, it sort of minimizes risk, but she will still be able to get Oki, so it's not that different, necessarily speaking, from just blocking it and then letting her get into throw range. It can just make it more awkward for her to get the setup to be precise afterwards. Another thing that you have as an option is to do normals that don't get you hit by the bouncing fan. Usually a lot of crouch medium punches will recover in time. So you can do those. Now the problem is if they connect with Mai or a Mai button or something, an extended hurt box, you have to be able to convert it into something that will, like, safely avoid the bouncing fan or, like, be fine on trade with it. But some characters have, like, better or worse tools for doing this, and in any case, this is what this setup is for, is that... No, this one, slot 7. Is that there's actions that Mai can take that... There's only a very small number of normals that each character has that will be safe from the bouncing fan. Because, like, if I do low forward, it's still a punish counter. Usually it's just, like, crouch strongs and stuff like that. Other than moves that will just take you out from under it, like forward heavy punch with Ryu. That will just escape the bouncing fan by moving underneath it. So, because there's only a small number of moves that each character has that will even avoid it, it can be pretty consistent to just do an auto whiff punish setup with a stand heavy punch or whatever other normal you want to do with Mai to, like, beat it. And then if the opponent doesn't whiff anything and they just stay blocking, you've whiffed, you've not made contact with them, it's fine, then you can dash up, etc. Depending on what normal you do, crouch medium punch would recover faster with Mai, and then you'd be able to B+ even if they standing block or parry it. And then the last action that you can do, so this is to catch backdashes. This is the main thing that Mai would do to catch backdashes, is just immediate drive rush crouch strong. Would be her best option to go for here. like so. And then the last option that I don't have in recording settings because I replaced it with the just block to do supers is wait and then walk forwards. Okay, well there's two. There's wait. There's two levels of wait. There's wait for a little bit and then do an action and then the fan hits, or wait fully for the bouncing fan to connect and then start walking forwards or doing an action, just to avoid last-second attacks that the opponent may be liable to do. For instance, so Mana can just do reversal, standing heavy kick, and then even if it's blocked, the bouncing fan hits in such a way that because of the block stun and whatever, it matches up, so Mana is relatively safe. She just takes the very small amount of damage from the bouncing fan, and then we're back to basically just even neutral. No particular advantage either way. So, a variety of characters can either do immediate actions like that, for instance, like Luke, let's say, or a lot of characters with fireballs. He can do, like, Sandblast, and then it'll connect in such a way that, like, let's say he does medium Sandblast, and then he's safe. But this would lose to the jump in, obviously, and this would lose to an earlier hit that Mai does with some other attack. So anyways, so it can get complicated. The play and counterplay options can get complicated. But anyways, so like Ryu, for instance, may wait until the last moment and then do like a sweep, and if it connects on block, then it knocks him out of it in such a way that he's safe on block, but only if it reaches her. So the various waiting for the opponent to do stuff actions for Mai is wait and then start walking forwards or dashing forwards, and then the fan connects after she's already started moving, which if she does this, this would get hit by the opponent doing a last-minute attack. Or wait for the bouncing fan to fully connect and then start moving forwards, either by taking a dash, which may or may not be plus because the frame data will depend on whether or not the opponent blocked it standing or crouching. So, or walking forwards, which will not get her into throw range, but will allow her to like do a frame trap with a heavy punch or something. So this collection of things are all what I would say is the default. Like, these are all the main tools that I would say Mai can use for a close-range bouncing fan. Now, the non-EX bouncing fan, the charge ones, light, medium, and heavy all have different bouncing fan timings. The light one, the bouncing fan hits really fast, and the heavy one, it bounces a lot higher in the air and comes down a lot slower. I would say, and that will make it more complicated what play or counterplay options they have available to them. So I would say the best tools for Mai, the best overall tools to abuse most frequently are forward jump, wait and then start moving forward, wait for them to like mash out something or start moving forwards, and then wait for the fan to fully connect and then drive rush so that you're cleanly guaranteeing something, and then drive rush, crouch medium punch to catch backdashes, and doing the auto whiff punish setup with either stand heavy punch, stand medium punch, crouch medium punch, whatever else. Now, the general broad counterplay options. Now, the counterplay is very character-specific. All of your counterplay to bouncing fan is going to be incredibly character-specific. But the general options that, like, vaguely apply to most characters are crouch block and then perfect parry the bouncing fan. So if you're just going to respect it, here's the thing. There's a trick to this. You don't have to be, like, you don't have to have, like, this precise timing to do, like, that, okay? There is a technique to get very easy perfect parries in the bouncing fan. What you do, you probably know, this is the same technique that is available to perfect parry anti-air. You probably know that there is a mechanic in the game that stops you from, let's say an opponent jumps at you, right? And let's say their jumping heavy kick is like hitting this area, but you're crouching, so it's not connected with you yet. The way that they stop perfect parry from being the easiest thing in the world for anti-airing is that they arbitrarily designed it so that you can't just be crouching and then press parry and have it immediately perfect parry something that was already hitting where your hurtbox would have been if you were standing. That being said, you can cheat the system by inputting back and parry at the same time. So wait for it to be, like, hitting your standing hurtbox, and then hold back and press parry. This requires no precise timing, it only requires the execution of doing this motion. And if you practice this, you should get consistent perfect parries. So you just hold back. You don't tap back. You don't just do like that, okay? You don't just tap back. You can. It's liable, if you're messing this up, it's probably because you're accidentally not holding back for long enough because you're trying to input whatever action you want to do next, which may or may not involve holding back. So you have to make sure you're holding back until you're sure the perfect parry went through, and then you press your reversal action. So perfect parry will allow you to do a variety of things. For instance, if she does do the jumping action, you can perfect parry and then DP, generally speaking. So this is probably the strongest and most powerful counterplay, but it is execution reliant. You do have to practice this. But it's, again, it requires no precise timing like perfect parries normally do. It just requires an executional technique of going from crouch block to back and parry. Now, the thing about this is that, so this will allow you to come out of it and then attack her if she's like dashing or DP or like hold up back or backdash or something. So strike, DP, or movement if you need it. Your choice, but this is very powerful counterplay. The only weak point to doing this is if you were already caught in block stun before the fan got to that point, it will true block string you into the fan, and then you have to hold that. But this is more of a thing, this is more of a problem for longer range EX fan or charge bouncing fan, because like in these instances, like she can dash up after a long range attack and then like catch you and then force you to block this whole sequence. Her best actions for doing so are probably either crouch strong or stand fierce, because those are what will give her the safest and least expensive approaches afterwards. So like let's say she's here, she can do something like that. And so that would not allow you to perfect parry the bouncing fan, because you would already be stuck in block stun at that point. So perfect parry bouncing fan, very powerful. You don't risk getting hit low by doing the standing into it if you execute it correctly, because you're parrying at the instant that you stand up. Alright, the next general thing that most characters can do is with a crouch button. So if Mai comes in with movement, you can do this, and then depending on what special you have available to you, it's important to remember that the bouncing fan specifically has the properties of a jumping attack, so you can do regular DPs and still avoid it. You don't have to do EXDP necessarily. Anything that will give you upper body invincibility, you can use to avoid it. So you can do that and buffer, but if your thing doesn't connect, you still have the ability to block, and even in fact, you can also do it into perfect parry, although I find this quite inconsistent to perform. Alright, the next thing that you can do, obviously, as I've been talking about, backdash. Now, this is probably the safest action that most characters have available, and it loses to the least actions that Mai has. It's just like full dash forward, and then maybe she can clip you, or maybe she just has to apply pressure after you backdash, or just raw drive rush, crouching medium punch, which not only will lose to you doing a safe button like crouching medium punch, or other things that we're going to talk about, it would also lose to just waiting and reacting. Oh, sorry, not that. This. Like so. But only if you have a super EXDP, etc. that'll go through it. Coincidentally, having a DP versus not having a DP makes a world of difference against a bouncing fan. Next option, like I said, jump and take the fan hit. This most of the time, it will be awkward for Mai to react to this and combo off of it, but she usually gets, like, Oki, or at least Drive Rush Oki after you do so. So it's not great, because she's still getting the offense that she wanted to get anyways with the neutral skip, so... Alright, DP. This is God tier. Alright, this is God tier. Any character with, like, a DP that works in this way is fantastic. So Ryu, no exception. Mash out a DP. Just mash out your heaviest DP. If Mai moves forwards in any way, she just eats shit. And if she waits for it, you get hit out of the air by the fan anyways, and Mai only has mediocre combos that she has to react fast enough to pick up the air hit with a drive rush into like a stand fierce or a crouching medium punch or whatever. Mashing out just a regular heavy DP will beat a lot of actions that she does. It'll beat all of her dash-ups, her drive rush forward, and various buttons that she might press, etc. And even if you're wrong, it's much less bad than whiffing a button and getting whiff punished, because you're just getting hit out of the air. You're just getting air hit by the fan, which does very little damage, and already starts her combo, even if she does pick it up, at significant scaling. So DP and take the fan hit is God tier. Last moment heavy attack. This is very character dependent on whether or not they have good things for it. And then the other thing is move underneath it, either by walking forwards, doing a forward advancing attack like Ryu's Solar Plexus Strike, forward heavy punch, or doing raw drive rush forwards. Alright, best actions. Mash heavy DP if you have one. Backdash. I'm going to get rid of jump and take the hit. I don't think that's the best thing, but it can be good. Last moment heavy attack if your character has a good one. And wait and perfect parry the bouncing fan. And then after that point, it just becomes all about character-specific options. So like, let's go for Luke. I didn't complete all these. I had the intention of going through all these, but then I got bored. Luke backdashes. If she does an immediate jump, he'll be able to see the immediate jump and then like light DP anti-air. But if she does a slightly delayed jump, he doesn't have that luxury. So the problem is his backdash is very shallow, which means that even after one backdash, he's still in proximity block, so he can't walk out of the bouncing fan. He would have to backdash or jump back again. So if he tries to do this, so he would have to double backdash to get out of this, and then he may be able to anti-air unless she like empty jumps or something. So his backdash against this, against the forward jump, is not that good, which means that the jump is a pretty strong option against him. It's difficult for him to contest this. That being said, he can still just double backdash. Here's the thing, if you take the hit, you can backdash, but you'll just get hit by the bouncing fan. So backdash is one of those things that gets removed from you if the EX fan actually connects on hit rather than on block. So if it's plus enough that you don't get access to backdash, which happens if it connects on hit, or if it has the better frame data of the flame stocks, etc., or whatever, or it happens from neutral, from farther away, and so she can dash up and be more plus. Those are all instances where the backdash gets significantly weaker. Alright, but anyways, so Luke has a really, really good heavy DP for this. So his heavy DP is extremely good for this. If it doesn't hit, he'll just get hit out of the air, and then he'll be relatively safe. And if it does connect, he's actually not in an airborne state yet. He's actually not in an airborne state, which means he gets much better Oki off of this, because she's getting juggled, but he's not. So his heavy DP is actually fucking god tier, and if he's anywhere, if you're near the corner and this interaction happens, he can even pick it up for a juggle. His level 1, extremely good, very safe, on block. I don't think she can forward jump and get over the... Actually, she might be able to, I'm not sure. That's where like the nuances of the timing and interactions get weird. His crouching medium punch is fine. Again, doing the safe button, the safe whiff button into whatever, is probably the least good option that I would go for, unless you literally have to stop the drive rush, crouching medium punch to chase your backdashes, if your character doesn't have a heavy DP to mash out. If you have a heavy DP to mash out, that's clearly one of the best options that you can do. If you don't have a heavy DP, you might have to do stuff like these crouching medium punches. And then try to react to whether or not they hit, and then go into an appropriate special or super cancel. Okay. And then beyond that, you have options that will just move you forwards out of the range of it. Or options that will take your turn and be relatively safe. So like this will be -12 if you do the light Sandblast, but it's still safe in this instance. But this would lose to her jumping over it, obviously. So that's like the main rotation of things. And it's also why I consider jumping to be the default, because it beats most things except for them backdashing generally. And if they backdash, then you can open up the counterplay options. The main problem is if they have a heavy DP to mash out, because that's like probably the safest thing that like is least punishable if you're wrong and will stop her, is most effective at stopping her from chasing the backdashes. So anyways, that's how it comes out. Move underneath with these variety. I was going through all these fucking characters, blah, 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 etc. You get the idea. So that's like the universal. Now, I already told my friend to adapt this so that I can start using mine in matches to see how good Bouncing Fan is when they have Counterplay available. And he plays Camy, so let me just do this shit with Camy really quickly. Okay, if your DP doesn't get hit by the fan, that's bad. You need your DP to get hit by the fan, so I think either light... Yeah, it would have to be light DP. Otherwise, it'll just, you'll get hit, probably. So, light DP, which isn't great. It'd be better if it had one with more horizontal range, but this is fine. Backdash clears the full distance, so... And then you can DP the forward jump, or delay forward jump. And then, crouching medium punch will probably be safe to it, yeah. Let's see, so can you do crouching medium punch and buffer it into... No, you can't. You can probably do it into heavy DP. Okay, so that should work. And that should work at most distances, even if they don't dash all the way into it, etc. And then any buttons that are good on collision. How about a delay stand heavy kick? It's not the worst thing, if you time it precisely. It's better to have things that you don't have to time that precisely, but that's fine. Then you have spin knuckle. Oh, that's not bad. If it connects, you'll just get hit out of the juggle, and she probably can't even pick that up for a combo, I'd imagine. Maybe with a level 2? Yeah. So, that plus DP would not be that bad. That's not terrible. Yeah, I think those are the things that make the most sense. This would just get hit. Yeah. And then her other supers would leave the area of effect. So, yeah, those are the main options for Camy, I would say. And, yep. Yep, that's, about how it works out. Mid-screen, the long and short of it is that, at best, you can try to, you know, alter your spacing in something, because there is no good way to deal with it. So, like, let's say that you block it at this range, and she can dash up and true frame trap you with a low forward. Now, the ways that you can alter your spacing here are... If you stand block, it will hit you as late as possible, which means that her movement forward will be more plus. If you crouch block, the projectile will hit you slightly sooner. If you parry, it'll hit you the soonest, which means that you have the capacity to... So, at a range where crouch blocking or stand blocking would make this a true frame trap, you have the capacity to parry and make yourself wider, thus blocking the projectile a little sooner, saving you a few frames, and maybe what was previously a 3-frame gap now becomes like a 5-frame gap, and now you can mash out a light DP or a jab check or something, and then challenge the situation. But assuming that so this is like one of your main tools, is do you stand block, crouch block, or parry, and that will adjust the timing for the approach. Unless she does like a drive rush, in which case she has much more control, but she's also wasting more resources to get in. So that would be like your main tool, but assuming that she is going to frame trap you, you no longer have the ability to backdash after this, or jump out, or even do light DP. You can do EX DP, but the thing about this is that if she just dashes forwards and blocks... Is that what I did here? Yeah. Then... So, you have to confirm that she's dashing forwards, and even then, you're wasting more resources, and she can still reliably confirm this into a Drunkel combo, because it's a lot easier for her to see that she's going to get the pickup if it's on block than just on whiff, if it just whiffs into getting hit by the projectile, the fan. So, and remember, you can't just hold up and get hit, because she can frame trap you with the low before you get off the ground. So... Here, you don't have good options. You genuinely don't... You have, like, fine options. Your options are, like, not as terrible. If you just block this out or whatever, then she would have to drive rush or something to, like, truly get in close to you, etc. Depending on her distance, the thing that would be most problematic for you is if she gets to dash up and do crouch strong as a frame trap, because that will leave her the closest at the most plus. Out of all of her things that she could do to frame trap you, other than, like, if she can dash up and get crouch short. But there's only a precise range where this even works. So, whereas she can do this, and then dash up and do crouch short. Or crouch strong. And so long as it's a frame trap, it will definitely fuck with your ability to do anything, and then she can just walk up and mix. Now, the thing about this is that usually she doesn't have the easiest way of doing this unless it's off of light fan, charged light fan or something, in which case she can do it at like this range and then dash forwards, and then she's more than plus enough to do crouch strong, but the fan will also connect sooner, so she's less plus on approach. Generally, there's not like... It's very precise, and there's not really clean windows for her to, like, dash forwards, get a true frame trap that you can't contest with a light DP, and have her still be plus enough afterwards to just walk or dash up and get a throw afterwards. She can do something like that, and then drive rush forwards, etc. So, drive rush may solve some of this issues for her, either drive rushing before that she frame traps you or after she frame traps you. But generally speaking, she doesn't have totally clean ways in, but she does generally have options to shut down your defensive options if you guess wrong, which is not necessarily the case for the closer range negative on block EX fan or charge fans. So my advice is try to adjust your width with parry, crouch block, stand block, etc. Try to adjust your spacing, because the preciseness of spacing does not favor Mai in these instances. And if you're ever suspicious, if you ever think that you've got it clean, whatever shot, use light DP to challenge if you think there's a gap. If she's not going to frame trap you cleanly before, after the first hit of the fan, etc. But other than that, it's going to be a little rough. Generally speaking, though, she would have to spend a drive rush at some point to make it clean, to cleanly get in to like a nice strike throw shimmy mix, which is not like a large price to pay, especially if she got it off of a normal fan rather than an EX fan, because she basically just gets to skip neutral without having to spend hardly any drive gauge. But yeah, it is what it is.